All right, welcome folks to Last Week I Learned. Today we are talking about the Dia browser, and I'm still learning how to use this, so I wanted to talk you through it. Last week we did a video about Raycast. You can watch that on my channel. I'll link that in the comments. But I really wanted to dig into Dia. I was trying to decide whether I should do like an operator, an open source operator, or dig in here. And what really tipped it over the line for me is I think this is really, really approachable and really, really powerful for a lot of things I'm trying to do. So, for example, I am trying to fix my audio. I'm guessing it is still not fixed because I don't know much about audio yet. And I was on Reddit trying to dig through how to do this, and I had set up these settings, and I was still struggling with something. And with ChatGPT, even with the desktop app, you can take screenshots. If you have certain browsers, it will like have access to the browser, but it's still kind of a layer removed. And what I love about Dia is it's just right here. I can ask a question with all the context I want there. And what I find really interesting, which we'll get into next, is how personalized this is. And it's a little bit creepy. So the thing I really started using this browser for was I'm reading the book Browser Engineering Online. I'm trying to understand it. And I find I have a lot of questions while I'm working through the book. And I have a long list of things to Google, but sometimes it's nice to just ask a quick question. So in this little footnote, they talk about browsers that are text-based. And I was like, geez, I'd love to know about that. So as you can see, you can actually just select text and search for that, or uh, it will use the web page as the context. So I said, find more information about text-based browsers. And it just went and found some things. And what I love is I can personalize it and I can choose how it responds. So I can add instructions, and these are kind of voices I want it to sound like. That's a little bit interesting of a group, I know, but what's really important is I want concise answers that point me to resources. I really don't like summarization. So it is actually doing that here. It's really talking me through like things I can look up, but I love this UI. It makes it very, very low effort to look things up with all the context you have with everything you want. You can use the voice. You can even take screenshots of different parts of the page, which I love. You can add other tabs. So if you're reading lots of things, you can upload from your computer. It just is the perfect place to have all the context you want. And I think it's brilliant. So I've really enjoyed using it for learning. Now, one kind of special thing that you could do is you can really customize the prompts that you have, which end up being pretty powerful. So, one example here is I am shopping for cutlery. I own three forks, three spoons, and three knives, and that's embarrassing. And I really like matte black. And I there's a they call them skills. It's very very similar to boosts from Arc, where you can kind of customize things. I love that they ported that over. And this one is called "Will I Regret Buying This?" And basically, it's just a custom scheme, or sorry, prompt from ChatGPT with a bunch of questions. I love the use of emojis. I'm gonna really think about that. Um, Apparently, there it goes doing it again. Uh, you can also, as you notice, you can have it as a floating bar, or you can have it as a sidebar. We're gonna let it think for just a second. It'll come back and tell me whether I should buy this, $100 flatware set. Uh, while we're kind of on a theme of comparing things, one really fun comparison I've seen is when shopping. I wish I had had this when I was actually shopping for my joggers. I actually went with Uniqlo, but you can attach different tabs. So I've got three tabs here, and I just said, hey, compare these. I'm reviewing them. I'm using a skill and the fact that I can attach multiple tabs here as well. And it is going through and built a little comparison with the prices um, and a bunch of information. Probably overkill. I could probably edit it down and say not to do all that, but I can look at more stuff. But this is great. I struggle to shop online. It's really exhausting. I get analysis paralysis. I would love something like this to go out and gather information. I actually plan on using it for flights, and that'll be an interesting test I think we'll do at the end of this to see if it can compare flights well. Another fun thing is you can do translation. So I started reading a newsletter in Spanish. I do read Spanish, but sometimes it's nice to check my work. And so I just attached the tab that I was reading about and had it translate for me. And that was pretty wild. And I can ask follow-up questions and stuff. And this seems more natural than the chat interface because I can kind of collect things into it. Whereas I think sometimes ChatGPT just feels like this isolated little chat box, which is great for certain queries, but it's lovely to have kind of the web and what you're searching for with you as you do things. Um, I'm going to do a couple more here. Let's go back to our stainless steel. I'm 25% likely to regret buying. So one thing that's interesting here, this is not deterministic. Uh, it does not seem to uh, repeat itself very well. It told me I was not going to want this earlier. This is where things get a little interesting, is it compares purchases, things that I could buy with this money elsewhere, and it's very personalized. And I don't know how I feel about that. So it knows that I like strategy books, AI, and history. It knows that I have a donor advised fund. It knows that I don't have a dog, but that's a good guess. It knows what kind of car I own. Like that's a little creepy. And I don't know how I feel about it. It uses your history, and this is pretty clever. Like all browsers have always had a history of the tabs you have. And this one I think is just kind of summarizing what your history is and using it to update some type of profile about you. Really smart. I don't know how I feel about it. Not my favorite. I'm a little bit on the fence. Um, I am going to. I had a couple of other things that might be interesting to show, but I think they're a little bit overkill. And I think it's better to actually just see what this can do with a Google Flight. So we're kind of going off script. We're going to see what we can find. So I am really interested in flights from various places. I'm willing to drive or take a train somewhere to get an easier flight. So what I'm curious about is find me flight options to, let's say, Portugal from the US on the East Coast. Um, Rank them lowest to highest by price. Use Google Flights. I don't know if it can do this. Um, okay, so it's looking. Yeah, it didn't do that. So it's not quite agentic. And that's kind of what's interesting is I know the demo that they showed was agentic. This is not quite there yet. So really Dia is going to allow you to look up information, aggregate it, display it in useful, fun ways. You can use skills to kind of, if you're doing something repetitive like shopping, you can use that, but it's not going to go out and actually manipulate web pages for you. And I think that is a lot better than we have right now. And I would actually like it. I feel like I'm kind of split in the middle where I don't want agentic AI to do stuff for me, but I do want it to present me with options. And so Dia doesn't quite get to the point of presenting me with options. I still have to go find them, and Agentic goes a little bit too far in that I don't want it to book my flights for me. So, really interesting product. I'm really excited about what the team's going to do. And really, I think the killer use case here is for learning. I love reading stuff online with this, whether I'm reading in a different language or I'm reading something I'm not familiar with. One of my favorite things is just to be reading and, dash off a quick question, keep reading, and then come back to what it finds. And I love it. I'm a huge fan. So, hats off to the browser company for what they're doing here. Big fan, and excited to see what comes next.